Are you tired of people always telling you what you want to hear and not what you need to hear? Me too. Are you ready to actually do something about it? Hi, I'm Loren Lahav, and for the past 30 plus years, I've been blessed to speak and to impact thousands of people around the world. I've shared the stage with the world's top thought leaders, including Barbara Walters, Tony Robbins, Barbara Corcoran, and Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm also a personal development, lifestyle, and business coach, event producer, and entrepreneur with businesses in over 25 countries. I'm a wife and a proud mama to 3 and a bonus mom to 1. Trust me when I tell you, it took me many years of buying into my old story of I'm not enough and lots of grit to finally let go of the BS. So I understand firsthand what it means and what it took. They don't call it the School of Hard Knocks for nothing. This podcast is my way of breaking down the BS filters of what we say, what we do, and how we interact with others. I will be sharing what worked for me, yet more importantly, what didn't work for me. This is a no fluff podcast where we will address real life issues that seem to surface when you least expect it, relationship conflict and breakdowns, and real solutions. I will share from my life experiences and those of other everyday heroes, as well as the world's top experts, are all here to help you grow through the process of letting go and finally expressing your true voice, who you are and what you stand for. In a world of political correctness and living our lives on social media, it's hard to know what is real. And are you taking in so much information but not applying what you've learned? In my life, I always look to the people who understand what I'm going through and are willing to get honest and forthcoming with me to help me grow through these challenges. Trust me, I've had them all, and I'm going to take the time to be as real as possible and get to solutions. I've had financial issues, parenting issues, marriage issues, emotional issues. You know, the list goes on. I've learned from my challenges, I've grown from them, and continue to learn from them. I see them now as opportunities. With this podcast, we're going to tune up our lives. I'll be your cup of espresso to get you through whatever you're going through in your life that's holding you back, to give you that confidence and trust of knowing someone is there to help and guide you, yet you have to do the work. So strap in, hang on tight, and let's get real. Well, welcome back. This is going to be a fun one. I love talking because right before this, we were talking about getting ducked, weren't we? And about how to get ducked at Wrenwood Ranch. Everybody's like, what are you guys talking about? So, anybody that has a Jeep knows that it's all about the ducks. And I have my badass and beautiful ducks that I go around and I tell my husband to go duck people. And then he goes running around. And then I go tell my daughter to go duck people in the parking lot. And people are like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? Anyway, we're just talking about Wrenwood Ranch. I'm so excited to be here with my dear friend, Keisha and Chad. What a beautiful couple that they are. And I just want to thank you, Keisha. Chad, I'll thank you, but I really want to thank Keisha because she made my day today when you sent me that beautiful text. I can't believe it's only been 6 years that we've known each other. I think that we met at a bar with your mom, right? I remember it was a dark bar and I'm trying to remember where it was. And I remember your mama was bragging about you. And the reason that I bring that up is you just never know, right? You just never know when you're going to meet someone who, becomes one of your closest friends or someone who's going to impact you in such a huge way. And you've been that. You're just such an awesome woman. And I love being on this journey with you. And I just can't tell you how much that text meant to me this morning that you sent me. So of course I saved it. And
it's true because it feels like we've been friends for years. And so I was looking through my email to see when was the first event I actually went to. And I was like, it's only been 6 years.
That's crazy. So we were at a conference for a company and your mother's very active with that company. And you guys are kind of like in and out because and I remember sitting there talking to you, like, I'm too busy to do this because I'm nursing, I've got a nursing degree and I'm working all the time. Am I right? Is my head right? I think I'm remembering pretty well. And then there was your sister. Gotta love Joy. Gotta love that girl. But what I remember the most was just how proud your mom is of you. And then we ran into her again. I think we were coming back. I was coming back from somewhere and we were just talking about you. I'm trying to remember that was. It was in the Phoenix. It was in the Phoenix airport. I ran into your mom and she couldn't stop talking about you. But I know that you come from a nursing family, right? Like your mom's been a nurse for
Just your mom.
just your
Yeah.
mom. Your mom's been a nurse, and so I think
My brother is now too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But I think though, I was writing in my book about that there's at a program that I teach, we have people climb a 50-foot, 60-foot pamper pole, a telephone pole, AKA. And then people climb up, and then they're supposed to come up and just celebrate. Most people don't even celebrate once they've climbed a telephone pole, because the two fears you're born with, I don't know if anyone knows this, but the only two fears you're born with is the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. So it's a natural fear to have if you're afraid of heights. But there's this opportunity for people. They can just get up at the top of the pole and just celebrate being on top of the pole if they climbed a freaking pole. But there's also trapeze that's out there. And we say that that's optional, because I always say to everyone, you have to ask yourself, is that my trapeze? Right. And I think in life, and I never go for the trapeze because I always go, it's not mine. I just want to get up and celebrate. But I think in life, we go out there and there are trapezes that are put out there for us about what we should do, right? Like, you should go to college, you should do this, you should do that. And I share them in my new book about my Joss, I wanted him to go towards my trapeze, right? Go to college, do all these things. And he came back from his first year in college and he goes, Mom, that's not my trapeze. And I know you got into nursing because you love helping people. And I also know that recently you realized that's not my trapeze anymore. And the same thing for Chad. I know that you've been highway patrol. You guys can share a little bit of your background, but I think now you're really going, you've climbed up, you've been through a lot, and now you're going, okay, what is our trapeze? And you've embraced that. So I'd love if you kind of give a little bit of the backstory and where you are now, and everybody know a little bit more about your beautiful journey of what you're creating together. So talk about that.
As you talk about trapeze, the first thing that comes to mind is at the Badass and Beautiful
Oh my gosh.
2019, when you had me leap onto a trapeze.
And that was even crazier, right? Like, cause
quick and let go and trust that the guy was going to catch us.
Yeah.
And I didn't get caught, but I still took the leap and let go to see what would happen. And that was in 2019. And then of 2019 was when Chad and I decided we were moving to Texas and we were taking on this adventure.
How amazing. And I did not even have that story planned. Hello, there you go. And that was a really interesting, like you said, it was different when you climb up a pole and then you're harnessed up and you leap out like on your own. But like you said, like the one that we had here, it's actually what they use the Cirque performers. That's where they practice on the trapeze that we went to, remember? And
you had to really far, like
really far.
Was lean into it, and you had to just be dangling there by your toes for a little bit.
Yeah. So, and then you took the leap. Sounds like that it was a good event, because then you decided to take the leap. So share a little bit about taking the leap. Who knew that this is where this podcast was going to go?
You never know, but it always works out.
Yeah.
I guess we just decided in 2019, so this is pre-COVID, we said, hey, if we're going to go for it, now is the time. I had left the highway patrol and we said, hey, if we're going to move, let's make the decision. And that's probably the hardest part of the entire journey, is just making the decision and go for it. So we packed up the house, put it on the market. Little did we know, while the house is on the market, we would have the pandemic sweeping across America. And before we know it, we closed on the house as fast as we could, because we knew it was coming. Not knowing, I guess, what was going to happen with the pandemic, but knowing we wanted to move, we said, you know what, the time's never going to be right. We're never going to have all the money we want. Let's just go for it. The time is now. So in March of 2020, the house was sold, jumped on the airplane, and I think the airplane was like 20% full because, of course, we have the pandemic sweeping across the nation. And that's when we started looking for property here in Texas.
Wow, that was so. So in California, like I don't know, did you say California? Like so they packed up their house and sold, right? Able to sell the house in California. So, this is a lot. Like there's a lot actually just to go back with. But the beautiful thing was that you both knew that you both had to buy in. Why did you buy into it? Why did you decide, Keisha, that to support this? Were you scared? Were you nervous? You've had a career in nursing, you still do your nursing career. So what made you go, okay, let's go? What was it?
When we got married in 2011, we got married at a property where we were able to house 60 of our family and friends. So we got to have an entire weekend just sitting by the campfire, letting the kids run around, just spending time with each other. And after we got married, we both said it'd be really cool if we could create a space like this someday. But you know how the some days go. You keep working, you keep making money, you keep doing the things you know how to do. We actually looked into trying to do it in California, and there's no way it was feasible with the costs and permitting and whatnot. And we both had said that when Caitlin, our daughter, graduated high school, we wanted to go back to Texas, but we didn't know where or what we were going to do. So it all just worked out.
But what was there a defining moment in 2019 that we said now's when you really said now's the time? Or did you just, was there something that happened that just go like, this is it? Or was it like just being sick and tired of, what was it?
It was a buildup. So we had done, some of the Tony Robbins programs, and I had been to Lobella, and we'd done some coaching and just some different relationship stuff together. And it was just, he wasn't loving his job at the highway patrol. I was tired of just going to work and taking care of people, but not using any of my creativity, any of the things that light me up. I mean, my patients are all intubated. We're not having conversations. I get to talk with their family, but we get them better and ship them out. And then I never know their stories. I never know what happened after that. Right. And I'm like you, I like connecting with people. I like to know their stories. I like to see where they go and what they do. So it was kind of like, I don't want to do this till I'm 65. Yeah. It's getting harder. It's not as much fun. I got to do something that brings me a little more joy.
Right. I love that because you had some awareness, right? Because a lot of people, they just don't, there's those little whispers, but they go, no, this is how it's supposed to be. They keep going for the, maybe for some other trapeze versus the trapeze that they really do want to do. So share a little bit about your journey, because you guys have been building this from literally on your own, like driving the tractors and, all of the shebang. I love it. I want to come out there and do that. It's funny as you're talking about this, about how you said when you got married and you had that experience. And like you said, like one day we want to create this for everybody else. And you both were like, yeah, I'm looking at one of my manifestation boards, and it's the one from the year after Z and I got married. And I'm looking at our wedding picture over here, and I'm looking at my, my wealth portion. And at the top portion of it, of the one, it was something that we said that we were going to do when we got married. And it's from 2013, this board that I'm looking at, and it says rescue the dogs. And yesterday I said to Z, I go, how freaking crazy. That's been on my wall. It's been on the other side of the wall because I've had my most recent ones over here. I was like, oh my God, look, I've had it there. The intention was set. So I think what's beautiful that you shared about that is that at your wedding and that agreement that you guys said to each other, the intention was set.
Yes.
But intention's not enough, right? We know this. And you basically had the experience, you had the vision of seeing your family all together. You loved how you felt from just seeing that vision. You set that intention, and you got enough pain right? Of not being able to do that or not saying yes to finally just go, that's it. Like he said, like Chad said, it's never going to be the right time. I don't want to do this till I'm 65. Make 65 sound like it's so old. It's so young, just so you know, 65. Um, and then but you saw, right? Like you kind of future paced for yourself, like we are not going to be doing this. Like, and like you said, you weren't getting that joy from the experience. So so you took the step, you took the leap, you didn't know like where it was going. And then what?
So we came out, looked at property, kind of made a comma through the state of Texas, looking at different areas. And when we came to the Texas Hill Country, it was clear as a bell. This is where we need to be. So we got a realtor, started looking at properties. And how many did we start with?
We started with 25 properties initially. Within 15 minutes, that was down to 4 because of deeds, land deeds, restrictions, things like that. And then before we knew it, we were down to 2.
So it made the process pretty simple.
But did you have any experience in understanding about land or like, I just want people like, the most important thing for me with this podcast is for people to go, oh my God, I could do that. Like, oh my gosh, like that really, like I could figure that out. So when you say that you went down from 25 to just those few, what happened to kind of X off all of the other ones?
Well, there were certain things we didn't know about land. If you're looking to purchase land, do they have water? Do they have, because we have to drill a well out here. You're not on city water. And so one of the properties we went to look at had 3 well heads that Chad saw. And he's like, what's this? He's like, oh, that's the first well that dried up. What's this? That's okay. So this one's out. And then there's things called easements, with access points to a property. And one of the 2 we had a choice from had an easement that went past probably 6 or 7 homes. And immediately I liked that property better at first, but I didn't want to cause chaos for the people that lived on that easement street. They're not going to like us having trucks and cars and things traveling back and forth in their nice little peaceful neighborhood. And so I was like, okay, that's out. And we both have said from the get-go, we pray about it. And when the doors open, you walk through it. It will figure itself out.
Yep.
And so when it whittled down to this piece of property, we went to look at it and literally we're walking, ducking through trees. It's just dirt and trees and rocks. That's it. There is no water, no power, no septic, no homes, no roads, no nothing, just dirt and trees. So we're absolutely thinking like, I think we were just so excited about it. We weren't thinking really about what is this? How are we going to do this? Because the how wasn't as important.
Yeah, and it's never that important. I think that if people can really get that the how's not so important if the why is strong enough, right? And if the vision and the intention is set. So I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So originally our idea was to build the venue with multiple little cottages and places for people to stay. But, we move here, we start the process, we went from the 2,600 square foot dream home with absolute certainty in our pay, our retirement, our insurance, to a 200 square foot travel trailer.
Oh my God.
You can shower for like 10 minutes. And you cannot escape each other unless you leave the trailer.
Oh my God, I'd be divorced.
A dog.
I'd be divorced. It wouldn't be happening. Or I'd find the closest. I mean, I'd be heading to Austin to go to the Fairmont, just so you know, not happening. I'd be going back to the Fairmont. They got good sweet tea at the Fairmont, as we know, because we met up there. That's why I met you, Chad, for the first time. Yes.
So adding on one thing, when we first bought the property, we found everything here. We didn't have power, water, or septic when we first moved in. So we're in Texas in May. We have no power, water, septic. So we were basically sleeping in an oven. And then it was just a journey to get all of those different things and build out the property. And I think the one thing, you want to have all the answers, but I think, like you said, the key is knowing why are we doing this? You can't figure out how. The how is going to come later. And the key is just to ask questions. Find someone, build those relationships locally, and start asking, who do you know and how does it work? And because the guy that dug the well, he knew about a lot of the piping and things like that. You ask the guy that does the septic, he knows a different angle. You ask the fire department, they know a different angle. And you just start asking, and you get flooded with information and contacts.
I love that. As they say, not how, it's who. Right? There's a
Yeah.
great book, actually. It's a great book. It's called Who. I don't know if you've ever read it. Have you read it? If not, I'm going to send it to you. It's a really fabulous book. But the other thing that you said, which is important, is, I don't know about you, if you had all the answers, it'd be really boring. You would just be back at like a job that was like really boring. I mean, we all know that the growth happens during the tough time. I mean, otherwise, if it was the perfect story, and what would the lessons be in it? So funny. I was smiling during that because I actually knew about wells because I lived in the country when I was a little girl. We lived in an old community center, and, we had well water, and, we would have our trailer, our tractor, that we had our own football field. It was awesome. We were very lonely. But we did that. And so, but, and then there was a movie, I think it was called, what was it called? It was a kid's movie, Rango or something. Remember, he who controls the water controls everything. And just talking about the importance of understanding how so many people buy land and nobody explains to them, it's just land. But if you don't have any water, if you don't understand that, so many people get that almost like a landlocked when they don't have all those resources to know what's nearby. And it's funny, I was smiling again because we bought our land during COVID as well. And it was, but there was an easement, and I didn't really understand the easement. And so we ended up buying this land, and my husband figured out, I don't know how to get these people that were trying to sell some land, but it was literally a landlocked. And we had our realtor call them, and they thought they were selling us landlocked land because they didn't know we had that other land on the other side of the easement. And so it was funny because like when we went, they go like, so what are you going to do with that land? And we're like, oh, we actually own the other land over there. And they're like, oh, okay. So, but but like you said, like finding out those things and finding the locals, like really creating relationships with people. So tell me about someone you learned something from that totally expanded your vision of what's possible. Maybe someone you met locally.
There's just been so many people, but like, I think Chad's Uncle Charlie that came down to help us build the first cottage, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I can hang a picture, and that's about the extent of my experience with nails or put together IKEA furniture. And
you can put together IKEA I can't put together IKEA furniture. You're better than me because I can't do it at all. Forget it. Go ahead.
He's like, you can do this. You just have to do this. You just have to know this. And just learning from him and Chad that it's not complicated. It's simple. You just have to know what to do. And that's like one of the things with this whole property. Well, I don't know how we're going to do this. And it's like, okay, let's slow down. It's simple to do. We just got to ask the questions to figure it out and then move forward. Has there been anybody specific for you that?
I don't know about locally. It's an interesting thing. We move out to this new area, and it's most of the area is actually controlled by partners, corporations, LLCs, things like that. There's not many husbands and wives or things like that are doing what we do. It's a lot of corporate or a lot of partnerships that have a lot of money that we're the small guys. So it's just learning for us and building those, I think, relationships just with the neighbors and just listening to what they have to say.
And knowing that everybody knows everybody. Do not crap about someone because everybody knows everybody. So
when was the time you felt like giving up? Did you ever feel like giving up?
I've never felt like giving up, but I have felt like, what the hell am I doing? Why did I make my life so hard when it was so easy before? It takes 10 times more work to cook a meal in this dorm refrigerator on one burner, or when we're driving 15 minutes down the road to a friend's house to lug. I was bringing in 50 gallons of water twice a week, loading them up, bringing them in, putting them in the trailer. I think more than wanting to give up is it gave me gratitude for when I have running water. Every time I turn on that sink and water comes out that I didn't have to carry into the
Yeah.
house, it's a new appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I think that, even when I talk about living in Fiji, is like, it was hard, but like you said, like I have so much gratitude. And I think that that's what, they say, there's a quote, when you're around something enough, you tend to take it a little bit for granted, and how much we take for granted. And so those experiences of who you've become because of this, and who have you become because of this?
I've become a much stronger person. For me, it's been a combination of this and my journey with you, honestly, because you taught me about myself and finding out who I am instead of just being like, yes, I own Wrenwood Ranch. Yes, I build things. Yes, I do that. But who am I as a woman, not as a business owner? And just the level of confidence and certainty that I have in what we provide to our guests. I don't wonder if people like our property. I know I am giving them the best version of me I possibly can. I'm not for everybody. We're not for everybody. But the ones we are, come on in.
I love it. I love that. I love it. And who have you become, Chad?
I think much stronger and much more appreciative of the small things. It's the small things that matter. Grace, patience. Patience has probably been the biggest one, and just kind of understanding other people's world and where they're at. It has been a journey for us because it's just been a lot of frustration, initially, and you just kind of slow down and say, we need to take it all in. And that's one of the things that I still struggle with, is just to take in what we're doing, where we're going, and just processing, I guess, through everything. And I know, Keisha, it's where we were at in 2021 versus where we're at today is completely different. Her as a business owner, her as, as we partner in Wrenwood, it's very different from the things that she's, of course, learned from you.
Well, I am so honored to be a part. I really feel like I'm part of this journey. It's been so amazing, especially, and I'm just going to say this, I saw a huge shift in you, Keisha, after Sedona last year. And when you shared, I literally took everybody through the manifestation class, right? And then you had the scripting part of it. And I don't know if you felt a shift in the room, but I asked Keisha, Chad, I don't even know if you know about this part. And she stood up and I asked her to share the vision. And it was like, at that moment, Keisha, people were cheering for you before, but I think at that moment, you had raving fans after you sharing in a way that it felt like I don't know. Tell me how you felt. I just know what happened in the room, and I could, what happened around at that moment.
For me, it became real.
Mm-hmm.
You had me script it, and all I could visually see the space. I could see what I wanted it to look like, the furniture, I could see it. And it was like, it just solidified, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it's like you did that for everybody. Like we all felt like we were there. We all were in it. Did anybody come up to you afterwards? I'm just curious. Did anybody ever come up to you after? I'm sure they did, but
I remember Tracy coming up and talking to me about the physical. She saw a physical change. There was something about that space. That space had a lot of energy that made me nervous, almost like a nervous energy. And I think it was just, there was so much going on. There was my internal struggle of not believing in myself while we're working on these things to strengthen our belief in ourselves, say what we want, manifest it, make our goals. And it was everything that I was speaking about at that event was real. It wasn't what I was supposed to want to do. And it wasn't what I was supposed to say. It was just that, just was what it was.
Yeah. I love that.
And I wasn't in, I mean, of course, I'm not on these trips, but even being around you in Vegas this last time, and I think it was day 2, we walked out of somewhere and I told Keisha, I said, Loren has one thing that we're missing. I said, we are missing the confidence here at the property. I said, right now, that's what we're missing. And I knew that. And I don't know what it was, something with the way you operated, something, I don't remember the exact circumstance. I just knew it was at the house we were at. And I go, we're missing that here at the property. Is we have the nuts and bolts. We've missed the confidence part of just going. We know it. We have the answers. We know how to get the answers. Do it. Go.
And owning it.
Yeah.
Like stepping back and seeing what we've done. We're in it so much.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't step back and look at it. What if these were 2 of our friends that had done this?
Yeah.
Like, how would that be? Because to us, it's just daily life.
Right. And it's funny that it kind of goes back to the pole, because a lot of people, they just climb the pole and they're like, yeah, I climbed the pole. And then they don't go, wait, hang on a second. I freaking took, 40 steps that I like would never have taken, and so, and too many people just don't celebrate it, right? They miss the celebration part of it. And so now that you are celebrating it, tell us a little bit about the future. Tell us about what's happening. I know that felt like that the actual event center started just like going up. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Like, I thought we were just talking about this like just a couple months ago. And now it feels like it's like happening.
Well, it was the same thing. Like we had talked to multiple banks. We had looked at different options. Like, how are we going to find the money to build this event space? But it was during that same time while we're talking about it, was we have to have something more than just places to stay for people who come for 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Because B&Bs don't make the money people think they make when you add in the costs of operating it and whatnot. So in our area, I can say that. So it was like, we need to do more. We can't wait until the time is right, the money's right. Just like when we moved here, we got to just figure it out and do it. So we talked to a bank. They said they'd loan us a little bit of money. It's not everything we need to finish out the venue, but our daughter got engaged and her wedding is April 5th of 2025. And so I want her wedding to be the first wedding we do on this property.
So you needed some leverage, right? It was a little bit of leverage that created that urgency for you, right?
Yes.
And I think people have to understand that that is a really important thing. Give yourself, it's interesting. My mom, she just turned 88. And what I noticed during COVID, I'm so proud of her because she was a freaking rock star in COVID. My brother, bless him, he so making sure that she was safe because she was already immune compromised. So she freaking like stayed in her apartment for all those years, it felt like. But what it was we kept painting a vision of when we were going to see her next, what we were going to do, what we were going to eat, what we were going to plant, like what things that we were going to do. So that vision part kept her going, right? So even though it was hard during that time, she had a vision of where she was going. So for you, like you said, like her wedding's happening, that's going to be the first event. That's going to be the first event in the center. And then what happened after that, when you like knew that she was getting married and you set that day, it's like everything, it felt like things went on hyperspeed.
Well, we don't do anything very slow around here. So
No.
like, okay, let's go order a building. Let's get a concrete guy and let's move.
And the money part kind of disappeared, right? It felt like that it felt like, because since we're doing a podcast and since hopefully millions of people are going to be listening to this podcast, your whole thing before was focusing on the money.
Yes.
So what was the shift from the money to like, oh, we're just going to get this done? What happened? Because I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Well, we do a lot of math around here. It's like, okay, let's say we can get no money from anyone. Can we get a building built? I don't care if I have to rent drapery to cover the walls. Like maybe it won't have insulation. Maybe it won't have walls. Maybe it won't have flooring upstairs. Can we get a building built for Caitlin to get married in by April of 25? Yes. Yes, we can. Well, let's just start going and we'll see what we can find along the way. And we keep having conversations. We keep, we just did all the adjustments to our website and learned a bunch of stuff at Business Mastery that we've implemented. So we can start hopefully filling these cottages so that the money keeps coming in and we can keep making it nicer and nicer for her on her wedding day.
I
Because
love
she'll
that.
be the first wedding in the legacy building at Wrenwood Ranch.
Oh, I love it. I love it's called the Legacy Building. That's so awesome. Amazing. Well, this has been extraordinary. I have a final question, and I ask everybody this. What is one thing that you do to stay true to yourself every day? I think I know the answer, but let's see if I win. I'm going to write it down and I'm going to see if I'm right. Okay. What is it?
For me, I do something to take care of me every day, whether it's out in the garden with the flowers, or I almost always take a bath.
Oh, you're like me. No wonder.
Or both, but I do something for me every single day.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, the gym and just quiet time in the morning.
Oh, nice. That makes sense. I put laugh because I don't know. I just like you both. Whenever I'm with like you guys, it feels like you're always just like loving the heck out of life. And when I think of you, I just smile, both of you. Now that I've gotten to know you, Chad, and I'm just so happy for my friend. And I can't wait for us to host lots of events there as well. And come on out to Wrenwood and play with the chickens.
Yes, yes. And if you want to, you can always listen to the Creating Wrenwood.
That's what I was just going to ask. You tell us about your podcast and how people can find out more about your wonderful facility.
It's all on YouTube. So we've been documenting the journey of what it's been to create Wrenwood Ranch. So we've started and we're just doing episode by episode from when we first bought the property and we're looking for places. And we're just continuing to record as we continue to build the cottages. So it's on YouTube, Creating Wrenwood.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I adore you both, and make sure you guys comment. Make sure you go check out the YouTube, and make sure that you get your reservations, because people can come now and stay there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You don't have to. Yeah, they can come and stay there right now. So take a group. How many cottages do you have?
We
so
have
far?
7 now, so we can sleep 16 to 18.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I'll see you in 30 minutes, Keisha. Have
Yes,
a great
ma'am.
one.
Bye.
Everyone. Have a great one. How awesome was today? Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and invite your friends to join as well. I'm here for you with fabulous content, great guests, and lots of giveaways. To learn more of how I have taken what I've learned, applied it to my life, helped others find their true voice, text TRUE to 26786, which will give you my top tune-ups and a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with one of our coaches. And remember, keep in touch with me on Instagram at I am Loren Lahav, Facebook Loren Lahav Official, Clubhouse Loren Lahav. Make sure you text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. Text TRUE, TRUE, to 26786. And remember to always stay true to the amazing person you are.